It's time to take a new approach to finding true fulfillment in your career, health, and state of mind through insightful conversations with those who have found their professional and personal passions while achieving balance. Whether it's entrepreneurs, athletes, or healthcare professionals, we bring you real people, real growth right here on the Boost Podcast. Now, here's your host, Ellner Lebensohn.
Hey Boost Squad, and welcome to episode 17. Ellner Lebensohn here, and I am psyched to introduce today's featured guest, Ellner Lebensohn. Rachel, are you ready to join the Boost Squad?
I am.
Great. So before we dive into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Mosaic Growth Partners. Mosaic Growth Partners provides growth strategy consulting to entrepreneurs and organizations in the healthcare and older adult baby boomer market. They can help you bring a new product or service to market, identify and engage new customers and partners, or grow your market share. They also provide coaching and training. For more information, go to mosaicgrowth.com. That's mosaicgrowth.com. Now back to today's featured guest. So Rachel was a professional actress from the age of 5 to 18, and she served in the film production unit of the Israel Defense Force Air Force before she attended college at NYU and got her law degree from Cardozo. After that, she practiced entertainment and real estate law before she had a life-changing epiphany. She realized that despite having achieved all sorts of goals and milestones that she'd set out for herself, she had really lost her connection to her passion. So she went on a journey to find more personal fulfillment, and she went searching for stories, content, and resources to help inspire her. But what she found was an incredibly fragmented and noisy landscape of gurus, thought leaders, coaches, motivational speakers, videos, blogs, articles, you name it. And it was so fragmented and noisy that it was anything but inspiring. And so Seyopa, which stands for Seize Your Passion, was conceived. And Rachel is creating Seyopa to be one place where people can get inspired and empowered by the best aggregated content and resources available so that they can take the steps they need to take and become their best selves, attain more personal growth and fulfillment in their lives, and achieve their goals and realize their dreams. So Rachel, I am so excited to learn more about your venture. What are the 3 things that we should know about Seyopa?
So the first thing I would say that you should know about, or your viewers and listeners should know about Seyopa, is really to really inspire people and make an impact on a real, global level to realize their dreams and achieve their own personal growth and become their best selves, realize their own potential, which I believe each and every one of us has a potential to fulfill, and the best person we were meant to become and realize their dreams. The second thing, if I had to say 3 things you need to know about Seyopa, is that Seyopa is all about really converging and leveraging digital media and technology today with the passion and the art of storytelling in order to do that and inspire people to realize their dreams. I say, let's leverage that technology and converge it with what happens to be my passion with this, which is storytelling, in order to inspire people to realize their dreams and achieve their full potential, and do that on a really global scale, which we can do today because of that digital media technology. And then the third thing I would say, which, is key, is that while this is very much, my passion project, and I'm clearly very passionate about it, it has to be a sustainable and scalable business. So, at its core, while it's very much our mission is to inspire and empower people, it also has to be a business, and it has to be scalable and sustainable to achieve that impact.
Absolutely. You're mentioning the importance of digital media in this personal fulfillment, personal development space. And I want to know kind of what else you see when you look at the self-improvement space now and in the future. What are some of the other things we should be looking for?
Okay, so that's a really great question. Again, I've done a lot of research over the last year and a half just because of my vision and mission for Seyopa. And what I've discovered, one of the many things I've discovered, is that the industry is really driven by, and hasn't changed in over 2 decades in this sense. It's really driven by a select, limited amount and number of gurus out there which you could probably count on maybe two hands, maybe 1 to 2 hands, right? 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, when I'm thinking now in my head of those gurus are white males, 50 plus. A lot of them are either, quite frankly, dying or retiring or getting to that next stage of their own life journey. And yet there's all these new diverse voices emerging, like I said, bloggers, writers, YouTubers, but no one's discovering them because it's so fragmented and noisy. And so Seyopa also serves, in that sense, a platform to allow these new and young and diverse voices to emerge for our younger generation, who may not, by the way, connect with those handful of gurus that drive the industry for the last 2 decades. Or, if you're someone like me where, I connect with certain parts of certain lessons and teachings from some of those gurus, but not all of them. And personal development is so individual. We're all unique, and that journey of personal growth and realizing your dreams and seizing your passion is so unique and individual to each one of us.
I love that. You bring up such an important point. I think that's something that a lot of women and minorities feel when they go out in the market, that there are these people who have achieved so much, but they don't look like them. And as a result, the path to get there, unfortunately, is not going to be the same in a lot of cases. And so I love that you're trying to not only create a platform for their voices to be heard, but you're more like democratizing what a guru can look like and who can be one. And I think that's really awesome. So can you give us 3 tactics that you are using to grow your business here? Because I know this is a new venture for you. It's different than what you've been doing in the past. So there's probably a pretty big learning curve. So what are you doing to get this business off the ground and running?
Well, that is, I would say, the first tactic is, that it is such a learning curve. And you have to be really willing to not only put in the hard work, and hard work is a big one. And I never shied away from hard work. So I would say that's probably one of my top tactics. But you also have to be patient and trust the journey and trust the process, and know that, again, there is no such thing as an overnight success. Even the ones we think are, or are depicted in the media as such, were 10 years in the making, overnight successes. And to really just take it one step at a time and one day at a time. And I'll add to that another, important sort of tactic, which is our daily habits, our consistency of our small steps is really what defines our life and what defines the design of our life and realizing our dreams and achieving our goals and seizing our passions.
Great. I want to shift gears a little bit. So I want to hear more about how you went from being a lawyer to kind of leaving that behind and starting this new venture, because I'm sure there's a lot of lawyers out there that are not happy in their jobs, but, couldn't really imagine the idea of just letting it all go and doing something else. So talk us through what that process was like and how you got to that point and how you felt along the way.
Okay, but I was never one of those kids that said, I want to be a lawyer when I grow up. That was never my passion or mission. It was a very strategic decision on my part. Like you said in the introduction, I was a childhood actress, and I was one of those kids and young adults that was fortunate enough to know very clearly in my gut and in my heart what my passion was, what I wanted to do with my life, who I was as an actress, and then as a filmmaker. I reached that sort of place of being a little bit lost and not quite sure where my path was leading me or which path to choose or what was the right path in my quarter life crisis, around the age of 25, which is when I decided to go to law school. Because for the first time in my life, I sort of stood back and took an evaluation of where I was. And here I was 25, and I hadn't achieved the success, quote unquote, that I thought I should have achieved or thought I wanted to achieve at that point in my life. I did not want to be a waitress at 30 who said she was an actress. And I was okay with that. It was, again, a very conscious decision. And I said to myself, okay, maybe that means I don't love the art enough if I'm not willing to be, because there were other things I wanted out of life, And so I said, I still love that world. I love filmmaking. I love storytelling. That's my world. That's my passion. How do I get ahead and achieve that success? And so I decided to go to law school. Again, it's a very strategic decision, not so that I could be a lawyer when I grew up, but to sort of explore the business side of the world that I loved so much and ultimately practice entertainment law. And I was open to seeing where that might lead me. I said, listen, I don't think I'll end up being a lawyer forever, but I'm certainly open to it. Maybe I'll end up loving that side of the world, and that'll be my sort of life mission and journey. And I got my ideal job on paper. I was working at an entertainment law firm. It was a boutique firm, so I had a lot of responsibility. I had some really impressive star clients, Harvey Weinstein and Miramax. I was doing all the deals on the business side of filmmaking. And then another cliche, here I was around 29 years old. I was living my dream job on paper. In the process, I'd gotten married, and I realized, okay, I'm about to embark on this amazing new chapter in my life of bringing a child into this world, and I'm absolutely miserable. My life is all about work and long hours. I mean, it's such a cliche, but I was there just like so many of us. We get to a point where we think we wanted to get to, and we turn around and we're like, I am so unfulfilled. I'm not happy. This isn't bringing me alive. My passion, was gone. And that was not how I wanted to embark on this next chapter of bringing this new human being into this world, surrounded by such a negative energy, quite frankly, that I was immersed in. And so I just quit. I mean, I know not everyone can, but I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could. And I ended up actually, when I was 8 months pregnant, an intern that I had hired at the law firm, he was who I'd become a mentor to. He was producing his first short film, and he called me. He said, I heard you quit. He said, I'm producing my first short film. I want you to direct it. And I said, okay, I'll be 8 months pregnant at the time, but okay. And, that was actually the first seed. I didn't realize it at the time, but that was really the first seed that was planted for Seyopa, because that experience really reignited my passion. My husband till this day talks about how he had never seen me come so alive as during those 3 weeks of filming, which was really hard work, and 8 months pregnant made it doubly hard. But I loved every minute of it. I was doing what I was meant to do. I was in my world. I was seizing my passion, and it brought me alive. And I was happy and content and really focused on just living my life and being a supportive wife and mom and helping my husband grow his business and, living life. And anyone that knew me was shocked, actually, that, I was content not working, and I was always very career oriented. But I really was, until I wasn't, right? And about a year after my second daughter was born, I started to get that itch that a lot of moms who take time off from work and then go back into the working force understand, where I wanted to reconnect with myself as an individual person and not just myself as a mom and a wife, and sort of, spark that passion on the other side of my brain that I had sort of lie sleeping for a little bit. And so it made sense for me. I had my Florida bar as well as my New York bar. So it made sense for me to do in-house legal work with my husband's development and investment real estate company, because I was helping him grow his business. And obviously I had a lot of flexibility, and it was a great transition back into the working world. While I was there, an opportunity sort of landed in my lap, which was the second seed for Seyopa being born. I ended up being on a few episodes of the Bravo reality series $1 Million Listing, the Miami franchise. It only lasted a season, but what it did for me is, again, it reignited my passion for my world, because I was on a set again, and there was cameras there, and it was that environment, and it was my world. It was my world, and I felt at home, and I felt connected. And I came back and I said, I have to figure out a way to merge my background and who I am and my passion for media and film and TV and storytelling with my experience as a lawyer, and create my own sort of opportunity, because I'm here in Florida. It's not the entertainment world. I'm not going to go back to being an actress. It's not even what I want. That was really the first seed for planting Seyopa.
Thank you for sharing that. It's really great to really hear the thought process and sort of your entire journey that led you where you are today. And there's something that I really want you to take from what Rachel is saying. So she mentioned that she had this quarter life crisis, and as a result, she went to law school. I can say I did the exact same thing. I had my first job out of college for 2 years, and I think I was like 23, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? So I went back to grad school. I got a master's in public policy, which seemed like a very strategic decision. I live in Washington, D.C., but ultimately now here I am many years later, and I'm not doing a whole lot with that master's in public policy. It's not what gets me super excited to get out of bed in the morning and to build my career around, but you're not stuck in it. So Rachel is 40 years old and doing something completely different now. I'm in my late 30s and doing something totally different too. And so even if you've invested in education or in some part of your career, you're not locked into it for the rest of your life. And there are things that you can leverage from it. I'm sure she's taken a lot of what her experience was in law school, and I still take what I got in my master's program. I work in the healthcare space, so I still use some of it, but it's not the primary focus of what either of us do. So don't feel stuck. And also those experiences that you have where you may pivot away from them, take what you can from them, because chances are the whole experience wasn't a waste. I'm sure that there's something valuable that you got from it that you can take into your next venture. So you mentioned that you're trying to execute on a very big vision right now. So tell us a little bit about either some of the challenges that you're facing in this, or when you've become frustrated or stopped making progress, and how you continue to move ahead after that.
Sure. I think one of my biggest challenges is personally for me is just my own bandwidth, right? That I'm one person and I'm wearing all these hats, as many entrepreneurs who are just starting out and starting their own businesses have to do. And it's really balancing. Plus, I'm a mom and a wife and I have 2 kids and there's only so many hours in the day. So I think to overcome that challenge, there's a few things there. One, balance is key, and that's true for everything in life. I'm a big proponent of balance in every area. And the second component is, I'm also a big believer in something called unique ability, and learning to embrace and tackle the things that I don't love doing and that I'm not necessarily best at, and not running away from them and shying. I have a tendency to want to do the stuff I'm great at and the stuff that brings me alive and I'm passionate about, as we all do. But you can't. You need to really tackle the things that are most challenging and that aren't your unique ability, and get out of your comfort zone. Another cliche, but it's true, And what's amazing about that, I'll tell you, is that the reason we shy away from it often is our fear of, for me, it's fear of failure or fear of incompetence and not being my best. And it's amazing what you discover that you're capable of doing. I'm fully capable. I've tackled things that I thought I could never do. Yes, I can. I can do them. I'm just as smart as the next guy or girl, and we all are. We all have that potential and that capability. It's really just getting over that fear of failure or rejection or fear of incompetence and tackling it. And you're going to make mistakes and you're going to screw up, but knowing that you can do it and not shying away from it is something that I've really learned very recently and really taken to heart.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we can be our own worst enemy. No one's harder on me than I am on myself. And so I think it's really important to sometimes get out of your own head and don't let your fear of whatever hold you back, because a lot of times you're capable of a lot more than you even realize. So Rachel, one other thing you mentioned was that you think balance is so important. And I want to hear from you a little bit about what specifically you do to take time for yourself when you're, being a supportive wife, raising 2 kids, starting a new venture. So how do you take care of yourself?
That's definitely been a challenge as well. So my number one sort of strategic tool to achieve that balance is really to walk my walk and not just talk the talk. A big part of Seize Your Passion and its message is about doing the things you love that just give you joy and pleasure, even if they're not your career, even if you don't have this grand, bold dream to build something or create something, even if it's just becoming your best self and living a life that's fulfilling and passionate in whatever that means to you. A big part of that is remembering to play, having fun, doing things that you love doing, that bring you alive, that bring you joy, and bringing that sense of play and adventure that, again, another cliche, but that we have as children, bringing it back and remembering that into our adult life.
So let's go ahead and close out with a parting piece of guidance for us.
Oh, those daily consistent habits are really the foundation of your success in life and your growth, and finding that fulfillment and passion and purpose that we're all looking for, whatever that looks like to you, whatever that end result of that best life that you can live and realizing your potential or your dreams. It's unbelievable how, our daily consistent habits, which seem so small and insignificant and don't feel in the moment like they're going to make any difference, it's brick by brick laying that foundation to build that building. It really, really is true. And if you recognize that and embrace that and make that a priority in your everyday habitual life, you will see the results. You will.
100%. And I need to recommend a book for you, if you've not read it, called The Slight Edge, which is all about that and about how little consistent actions will compound in value over time. And it really changed the way I view my business and all the things that I do. So I highly recommend that you get that book if you haven't read it. It is one of my favorites. So,
I will definitely check it out. And on that note, I will recommend back to you The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
I'm writing it down right now. So I hope today's episode inspires you to think more about how you can find your passion and live your best life. For more information, including links to resources that Rachel and I chatted about today and how best to get in touch with her, head on over to our website, theboostpodcast.com, and check out our show notes from this episode and catch the Boost bonus. Rachel, I want to thank you for sharing your journey with us today. And remember, anything is possible for you.
Now that you've completed this episode, the next step is to join the Boost Squad for strategic insights, tips, and tricks, as well as exclusive resources designed specifically to accelerate your personal and professional growth. All this and more is waiting for you at theboostpodcast.com.